Good evening, and welcome to the January 25th meeting of the Solon Board of Education. Mr. Buchanan, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Heckman.
Here.
Mr. Patton.
Here.
Mrs. Moses.
Here.
Mrs. Clevin.
Here. Will you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This would be our first opportunity for public comment. In accordance with Board Policy 0169, this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not to be considered a public community meeting. Due to the virtual nature of the following meeting and in accordance with state law, we are foregoing the traditional period of public comment. Should anyone from the public have comments they would like to share with the board, please email those comments to info@solonboe.org. Again, that address is info@solonboe.org. Just as a reminder to our audience, board members do receive and review the agenda and accompanying explanation during the week prior to the Monday board meeting. At this time, we're going to go a little bit out of order, and we'd like to have our C item, one of our C items first. We have a guest with us tonight, and I wanted to take an opportunity to introduce him. And Mr. Bolden, will you take over for me on that one?
Absolutely. Jeff Pedicino, who has been a fixture in the Solon School District for multiple decades, first as a DARE officer and then for the last 6 years as our Director of Security. He is, as you know, he is retiring effective at the end of this week, actually.
Oh, wow.
He is retiring effectively the end of this week. We had appointed his successor after a pretty lengthy search among our local safety, our local safety forces, and the person that we selected for that job was Jason Bender. We had approved him back in November to take the position. Jay has been working for the last month with Jeff over the transition period. Jeff will also be working on a consulting basis to help that transition because surprisingly, security is something that is a never-ending struggle for us, and all the things that we have to do. One of the reasons why we have a specific part of our levy structure is monies devoted directly to safety and security is because it's such an important thing for us, and it is such a significant part of what we do, keeping the kids safe, keeping our community safe. Jay was with the Solon Police Department for 27 years. Before that, he was actually he actually worked in I want to say newspapers.
Yes.
Yeah. He was a newsman prior to that, so he's got just a really unique combination of both communication skills as well as safety from being a police officer. We're really excited to have him. He's been jumping in with both feet. We're excited to have him, and I just wanted to give an opportunity for all of you in the community just to kind of put a lot of people know him, but want to put a face to a name to see. Here he is. So, Jay.
Yes.
Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you.
How's your first month been?
It has been kind of a whirlwind. There is even having a good idea of what the job entailed before I accepted it. It's there are so many moving pieces, and Mr. Pedicino has really built the system from the ground up, so he's intimately aware of every detail, and I'm literally trying to absorb as much as I can before he leaves. And again, luckily, we will have him around as a consultant. That should help out a lot. But again, I couldn't be happier to be part of the Solon School District. I graduated from here in '85, so that was a few years back. But it's just great to be part of the system.
Well, great, thank you, and welcome. It's nice to meet you in person and have the community be able to, as Fred said, put a face with a name. And you know, this job that Jeff has kind of crafted from the bottom up has been, is a very important part of our school district and what we do and what we stand for and what we're committed to, to our community and our kids. So welcome, and we certainly wish you the very best.
We're very excited to have you.
We are.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. Now, Jay, you are welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but you absolutely don't need to.
No, you do
In my
not.
journalism days, it's been in on many, many school board meetings. So if I take a pass tonight,
Yeah, you'll be okay.
it was great to to meet you all. I look
Great,
forward to
thanks.
it.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Good luck.
At this time, we'll move into the treasurer's report. Item A1, approval of minutes. Recommended motion to approve the minutes of the organizational and regular meetings of January 11, 2021. Motion, please. Moved by Mrs. Thomas. Second by Mrs. Moses. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, Mr. Buchanan, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Item A2, approval of bills. Recommended motion to approve the payment of bills totaling $17,347.89, as noted in enclosure A2. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Heckman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Patton.
Yes, Mrs. Glavin, you'll see, as we were just talking about security, it seems like we're always talking about like either doors or access doors. In this particular instance, this is part of the system that we use where each employee gets an ID card that allows for access into the building. Several of those boards had been end of life and needed to be replaced, and that's what these costs are for, to replace those and to maintain others that we have.
Any questions? Mr. Buchanan.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Concludes the treasurer's report. Moving into the superintendent's report. Item B1, 2021-22 school calendar. Recommended motion to approve the 2021-2022 school calendar as noted in enclosure B1. Motion, please.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Jones, seconded by Mr. Patton.
Yes, Mrs. Glavin, this is the calendar that we had publicly showed at our last meeting, and now we're voting to ratify that for the next school year.
Good, thank you. Were there any corrections to it? Everybody good? Seeing none, then, Mr. Buchanan, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Item B2, administrative retirement. Recommended motion to approve the retirement of Kirk Miller, Director of Information Services, effective July 31, 2021. Kirk has been with the district for 39 years. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Heckman, seconded by Mrs. Thomas. Mr. Bolden?
Yes, Ms. Glavin, I wanted to bring an example. Kirk has been with us for as long as we have been doing any kind of computer technology for managing the district computers. In fact, he brought me one of these. This is actually a punch card.
Punch card, yeah.
Right. And the year before he came, our students were actually programming using these punch cards. And he has been a fixture for us for as long as any of us can remember, one of the
Man, punch
longest serving
cards, I
employees
haven't
that
seen
we've
one of those in a
had.
long time.
He's going to be a significant, hire to replace. We're already in the process of working with our employment consultants to find quality candidates to help us replace him.
It's gonna be hard to replace him.
It absolutely
I remember when he
is.
first started, I mean, Kirk has always been top drawer for this school
He
district.
has been a valuable asset to the Solon School.
Absolutely, he will be missed.
He will be missed.
Didn't
that
you
is
work
for sure.
very closely with him at one time? Was he ever your boss?
He was never my boss, but he was always the one, when I was a school teacher and I was doing things like sneaking my own personal computers in to teach the kids, he was the one that was always yelling at me for violating our policies for bringing our own technology in.
He's a
So,
good man then.
He is.
He is.
He absolutely is.
All right. Are there any questions? Other than we will certainly miss Kirk. Motion, please, then? We're good with that, and we'll vote on that then, Mr. Buchanan?
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes,
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Item B3, administrative retirement. Recommended motion to approve the retirement of Tiber Page, Director of Pupil Services, effective July 31, 2021. Tiber has been with the district a total of 26 years. Motion, please, Mrs. Thomas.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Moses.
Yes,
Others.
this is another very significant retirement. She has been a fixture for us, and we're sad. I know Debbie's in particular sad, and I know I am because I've worked with her for so long. We were technology resource teachers together. She's been here since the 80s. She took a small hiatus. She left, I want to say it was 2005 or 2006.
yeah, I think you're right.
Right. She had left, she moved overseas, had a very successful career over there, working in both instructional technology and administration in international schools. We got really lucky 5 or 6 years ago when she was coming back right at the same time that our former director of pupil services, Dale Jacob, was retiring. And we got so lucky. She came in right at the right time. She agreed actually to stay for 5 years. It was an agreement that she had with her husband to do it. We squeaked out an extra year on that, which we were very excited about to get her. But she is now going to officially retire. She is moving back to Belgium with her husband.
Oh, are they going back to Belgium?
They are going back to Belgium. We are going to miss her terribly. She's just done such a spectacular job.
I remember when Tiva was a third grade teacher at Roxbury.
Right? I remember.
That's what
long time ago.
I just remember, the stories that I could tell of us going to technology conferences together, and it's just, she's going to be terribly missed, or missed terribly, I should say. And we're just, we're sad to see her go, but we understand it's a very exciting part of her life, and she's moving on to that next chapter, and we're going to miss her a lot.
Well, we certainly will.
I would say that there have been several, we believe in this particular case, we have several really quality internal candidates that have expressed interest in that position. We will be conducting exhaustive interviews with them so that we could select a candidate, but we do believe that in this particular case, we have an internal candidate or internal candidates that would do a great job to replace her. So we have several people in mind for that.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Canna?
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Item B4, retirement classified. Recommend a motion to approve the retirement of Pam Hesketh, Secretary at Solon High School, effective March 25th, 2021. Pam has been with the district for 25 years. Motion,
moved.
please, by Mr. Mr.
Second.
Beckman, second by Mrs. Moses.
This is one, if Erin was here, she would probably be in tears.
I know, these are three, I mean,
Right.
I've known Pam
another big one.
forever.
No, it is. She
I'm
is,
feeling a little bit nostalgic here tonight.
right. She is she makes that office at the high school
does a
run.
great job. She
There's
does
so
a
many
lot.
things that she does. I know Erin is beside herself, but she understands it's that next stage. Again, we're posting that job, and we're going to work on getting it filled. But Pam is, she's a special lady, and we're really going to miss her.
Indeed, indeed. Any other questions?
No, she's fabulous at her job, and she's such a friendly face in that office as a parent when you walk in there. And
And I will say, in
Oh
all
my
the
gosh,
years that
oh my
I've
gosh.
worked with Pam, and there's never a time that Pam hasn't stepped up immediately. I mean, if somebody needed help, if something had to be done, if there was extra time that had to be taken, Pam always volunteered and was always just a valued employee in the district. And
always
again,
did it with a smile too.
I know, a good sport, and all three of these last three everyone's gonna be missed. Mr. Buchanan?
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. I hope we're finished with that part.
Yeah, really.
Well,
Head lacrosse coach, B5, recommended motion to hire Casey Hogan as the head lacrosse coach for the 2021-22 school year. Motion, please.
Moved.
Mr. Patton, second by Mrs. Thomas.
yes, Mrs. Glavin, at our last meeting, I had said that we were going to complete the vetting process of our coach, and then once we did, we would bring him up to board for approval. You'll see him once again at the spring supplemental time when his actual contract is official, but so we're just approving him now so he can be publicly announced with everybody and everybody can know who he is. He's incredible in terms of his
I
pedigree.
was just gonna say, what's his?
He was a lacrosse, he played lacrosse in college. He is actually going to, he got his undergraduate degree in, I want to say sports management or sports coaching and physiology. He's currently getting his master's degree in that. He's coached at both the high school and the collegiate level prior
great.
to coming here. So I know the players are excited about him. He's going to be a great coach for us.
Awesome, thanks. Any other questions? Mr. Buchanan?
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Notice of public hearing, OPSI. Recommended motion to approve the retirement and rehire of the following individual for the Rehire incentive that is part of the collective bargaining agreement with the Solon Board of Education and the Ohio Association of Public School Employees, complying with Ohio Revised Code 3307.353, which requires the notification of a hearing to be conducted at regularly scheduled board meeting of March 15, 2021, at the board offices, and that employee is Ken Metzger. May I have a motion,
Move.
please? Moved by Mrs. Thomas.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Moses.
Yes, as part of our normal contract process, prior to the completion of their 30th year of employment with us, our OPSI employees are allowed to retire under in SERS or SERS, which is the teacher's retirement system for them, and then we can rehire them for 1 year. This saves the district a lot of money because they can work off, as opposed to working 5 or 6 years at their highest salaries, it'll be a single year working at that salary, and it works to save the district. It's a tremendous savings for the district, and it gives the employee an opportunity to retire in a timely fashion.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Buchanan, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item B7, substitutes. Recommended motion to approve the following individuals as substitutes on an as-needed basis for the 2020-21 school year. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Heckman, seconded by Mr. Patton.
So nice.
Yes, we have 4 more substitutes, but we still need more.
Yes.
Lots and lots more. So if you want to, please, the paperwork is online. You could just fill it out. We need more substitutes because substitutes are what we need to keep us in school in person. And unfortunately, COVID is still here, and it's still a reality for us every day. And all the people we can have that can do this are people that we can use to help us keep our schools open. I would say that if you are a working substitute who has worked for us, we are going to use the tools that we have for vaccinations to get those people vaccinated. So if you are somebody that is willing to work for us and has worked for us this year and will continue to do so, we will do everything we can to see that you get a vaccination as well when that time comes.
Well, good, and we certainly appreciate all those people who have stepped up in the past and that are helping us keep everyone in school. Mr. Buchanan, we call the roll, please.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item B8, supplemental contract. Recommended motion to approve a supplemental contract to the following individual. Name is listed below. May I have a motion, please? Moved by Mrs. Thomas, second by Mrs. Moses.
Yes, this is actually a replacement for a supplemental that we had at the beginning of the school year. We had a teacher who was actually doing the spring musical. That teacher has opted not to do that, has declined to do that supplemental. So Gary Lewis, who used to be the music director last year, has agreed to come back on to do it. And so this is a replacement. This isn't an additional.
Good, thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Buchanan?
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item B9, tuition reimbursements. Recommended motion to approve tuition reimbursements to the following individuals. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Patton.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heckman.
Mrs. Glavine, these were previously approved, and they do meet our district criteria.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Buchanan?
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. That concludes our business items. Moving into information items and other reports to the board. Item C1, Mr. Bolden.
Yes. I can't even believe we're talking about this already, but it is going to be preschool information night for our for Solon Preschool. We're starting to begin the cycle for the upcoming school year. This year, we will not be having an in-person preschool information night. It's going to be virtual. That's going to be on January 28th at 5:30 p.m. And during that time, they'll talk about what the educational experience looks like, how our peer model program works, and they'll be able to, there's actually a link that will be sent out to the community where you can sign up to get a Zoom link sent to you.
I wondered if we were going to somehow be able to advertise to everyone, because that's something that they might not be in our system.
So we're actually going to, we actually posted on our district website to communicate to people to let them know. If you do have questions about it or you have questions, don't hesitate to contact Terry Brownlow, who is our principal at Solon Preschool. Her phone number is 440-349-6210. You can contact her if you had any questions about it as well. But again, information will be posted on our school website for our preschool information night.
Right. Item C2.
This is very similar to the last one that we were just talking about. We're talking about Solon Kindergarten Registration Night. So again, it's going to be virtual. Kindergarten registration is fast coming upon us, but the information night for kindergarten registration is going to be on February 10th at 7 p.m. On February 1st, all of the information about kindergarten registration will be posted onto the district website. We will principals and school counselors from all three of the elementary schools are going to be providing an overview for the program. Kindergarten registration is actually a two-step process. The majority of the information is done online, and then due to statutory requirements in registration, there is an in-person process with documents and things that you need to bring. All that's going to be explained. We have all new protocols that we're putting in place this year for the registration process due to COVID, for proper distancing and sanitization to make sure that registration process goes smoothly and safely. Obviously, we have both half-day and full-day kindergarten that is offered. All three schools have half-day kindergarten. We're not sure about full-day. All three schools have full-day kindergarten. Half-day kindergarten is dependent on the numbers of students that we have, whether each school has a half-day program or not. But those decisions are based on registrations for those things. Our centralized kindergarten registration actually is going to be on Wednesday, March 3rd from 8 to 11:30 a.m., Thursday, March 4th from 8 to 11:30 a.m., and 5 to 8 p.m. at the Arthur Road School Cafeteria. There's actually an appointment sign-up that's going to go live on February 19th after the information night. So parents and guardians are going to have to complete the general online registration prior to whatever assigned time slot that you get on March 3rd and 4th. We do assignments so that we don't have a massive crowd of people that are all trying to come in. Everything is scheduled. It helps
Especially
with
this
distancing.
year, that'll be helpful.
We actually started implementing that, I want to say last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We started doing that 2 years ago, and it's been a rousing success. Scheduling the appointments like that, it's stopped the large crowds, and and this year it's actually going to save us and keep everybody safe during the registration process. So again, everything will be posted on the website February 1st.
Great, thank you.
And Fred, just to add on to that, I mean, of course, we want as many kindergartners to register at this time and not wait, because that's how we do all of our planning. So it's really critical that families that do have an incoming kindergartner are going to that process at this time.
It is, I'm glad you mentioned that. Please do not delay in registering for your kindergarten experience. We register and fill our slots in individual buildings on a first come, first served basis. So if you want your child to have their experience in their class, in their home school, if you will, your best opportunity to do that is to sign up as soon as possible. So please make sure you do that. It really helps us to plan. It helps us for staffing, and it'll help you to get your child in their home school.
Do we, you asked the question regarding the preschool, do we advertise to the local preschools to get that information out? Because the families, obviously, with incoming kindergartners may not be on our list.
We do. Not only do we publish it on the website, we also, it goes on our digital sign, and we also communicate to all the local preschools.
Oh.
I know it's unfortunate that we can't be in person for all these different meetings, but I would have to think that there's probably a lot of parents that are able to participate and take advantage of these information nights in a Zoom environment or in a virtual environment. So it's nice that they're being able to get all that information sometimes without having to go out again in the evening or something along that line. So that's
Martin Luther King Day Racial Injustice Essay Contest. Wendy Wu, Ava Parikh, and Aparna Srikanth were all recognized for their essays dealing on the topic, what is racism and what should we do about it? They were, if you've had an opportunity to read them, they're really powerful pieces of writing. They make you think about things that you didn't, and we can understand why they were really successful. Wendy actually won first place in the junior-senior division for her essay, The Wounds of Racism and How Justice Can Prevail. Ava received a third place in the junior-senior division for Racism is Our Responsibility and Our Nemesis. And Aparna's essay, George Floyd's Death Was the Catalyst, earned third place in the sophomore-freshman division. So it's just having three kids to to place with a lot of kids writing. It just speaks to their character. It speaks to the quality of the education that they're getting, and it speaks to a lot of the work that Erin Short and her team have been doing to really raise awareness of our differences and celebrating those and getting us to understand who we are and how we interact with each other. So it's just, kudos to these three really bright and talented young people.
They
Absolutely.
were all good
Congratulations.
essays, but Wendy Wu, when I read hers, racism starts early, and she saw it. I mean, it was just a very, very good essay. Makes you really think.
Item C4, we already did that one.
We did that one.
See if
Item C5,
Okay, it is COVID update time again. It's really easy to get complacent. Complacency is our enemy when it comes to COVID, because the minute we let up is when things will happen. Last week was a great week. We were in a declining trend in terms of the number of cases that we had. Unfortunately, since we communicated to the community on Friday, we've had 4 staff members test positive for COVID just since Friday. Now, we've sent all the communications out that needed to into communicating those things, but those 4 staff members resulted in 5 other staff members getting quarantined and 37 students needing to be quarantined. So it can happen that quickly. We are doing everything that we can to keep distancing, to keep masking going on, and given all of everything that's going on with the vaccine that's in the horizon, people can get this false sense of hope that, the vaccine's going to be here, it's going to be okay, we can let up a little bit. Now is the time more than ever that we can't. We have to maintain all of the vigilance that we have been exhibiting since we came back in October, so that we can maintain an in-person presence in school. Fortunately, we were able to mitigate this with the substitutes and staffing, with changing things around, with busing or with food service, so that we can manage all of the various things because of these absences. But these are things that are going to continue to happen, and we need to maintain, and I know I keep saying this all the time, for the people in the audience listening that have read the Harry Potter books, it's like Mad-Eye Moody. You have to have constant vigilance.
that's right.
Constant vigilance about all the things that we are doing to keep ourselves safe. We're going to continue to stay the course to stay open. Right now, we're not seeing, we don't see any schools that are in imminent danger of needing to shift to remote instruction. We are hoping, and based on the information that we got, our staff is going to be able to get vaccinated in the month of February. Should that happen, that's going to help us even more, because we'll have less instances of people contracting COVID so that they have to be out, and that'll help to be able to keep school open. And hopefully, should the trends continue to go down and our staff is vaccinated, it might help us to allow us to bring some more students back in for parents that may need that or want to do that towards the fourth quarter.
Good. I think it's important for our audience too it's reports just like this that really brings it to all of our attention, that what happens at home and what happens in the community, and how vigilant people are in not just in school, because we do try very hard here, but actions at home and what people are providing and allowing kids to do, adults to do. It matters, and it really is, it bears it out when we see numbers like this. So we, again, hope everyone is being extra careful.
Okay,
All set?
I am. Thank you.
Good. Moving into board reports and other committee reports. Mrs. Siegel, anything additional?
No, Mrs. Glavin.
Mr. Bolden, anything else?
No, Mrs. Glavin.
Mr. Piana?
No, thank you, Mrs. Glavin.
Mrs. Moses?
Not today, thanks.
Great. Mr. Patton?
No, thank you.
Mrs. Thomas?
We're good.
Good. All right, this is our second opportunity for public comment, if we've received anything. Tammy, anything? Great, thank you. I'll entertain a motion for an adjournment. Moved by Mrs. Thomas,
Second.
second by Mrs. Moses. Mr. Buchanan, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes, thank you. Yes, this evening?